there, my name is LexC and thank you so much for joining me today. This video is kind of just a get ready with me slash, talking. So I haven't done a YouTube video in quite a long time and I'm trying to make sure that I don't keep myself stagnant by not doing videos just because I don't look a certain way. I've never been the one to stop myself from doing something just because I'm not able to present it completely how I want to, because then the idea would never get explored. So I've never done a get ready with me, and I'm not really getting ready to go anywhere because I don't go to the studio like this normally, but give it a try. And I have my mirror, so we'll be here the whole time talking. And the topic that I would like to attempt to go over is advice to new artists who are coming to the studio for the first time. I'll try to multitask. I don't know how good I am at multitasking right now. I am an audio engineer. I'm a singer, a songwriter, an audio engineer, actress, model, and I do a lot of things. And I was actually in the studio last night kind of going over some experiences with Solo, who is, wow, what a difference. He's the other engineer at Rich Productions, because I was at Rich last night. I'm gonna do it like this because the sun, we're just kind of catching up, and we always end up talking about our different engineering experiences. And I also like to share with him some of the stuff that I've gone through because it's good insight. He's a newer engineer, but it's good insight so he knows kind of how to handle certain situations that might come up. And pretty much just gonna be talking about that. Like, one of the things, like the other one is darker. One of the things I would say to newer artists who are coming to the studio is that you control the temperature of the session. Like, music is very much energy based. That doesn't look even to me. Music is very much energy based and vibe driven. And it's really going to depend on what kind of song you're doing and what kind of vibe you want to portray through your music. So that being said, I gave Solo the example of I was working with this new artist and she was just kind of really timid and unsure about some of the things she was doing. And she would always look back to the control room for approval, either from me or from whoever she came to the session with, which was her family, I think. That kind of frustrates me because it's like, I haven't even heard the song and you're looking back every few bars, every bar actually, because she would literally sing one thing and then look back. Was that okay? Sing one thing, look back. Is that okay? I'm like, it sounded good, but was it okay for you? Because this is your song. You have to like it first. And so from that, oh my God, cat, go away. Hi. From that, I would just like to say, for new artists, when you come to the studio, you are setting the tone, you're setting the energy. So, and especially since I haven't heard your song, this is my first time hearing you, and it might even in some cases be my first time meeting you as an artist. So I don't even really know your style, I don't know your process, if you have a process developed, but you control the session. You control what you want to do, how you want to do it, how quickly you want to do it. And my job as an engineer, or at least how I approach it to start, is let's do a natural look. So let's do the foundation. I want to make sure that you get what you came here to get. And that's my main goal as an engineer. You said you wanted a certain sound or a certain vibe, and I'm here to help you achieve that. So that's, one piece of advice. And I've said this before in other videos that I've done, but it's always nice to reiterate, especially people who might not have seen it, of course. It's always good to reiterate. So yeah, you control the vibe of your session and you tell me what you want. Another piece of advice I would offer to new artists coming to the studio, make sure whoever you have coming with you, they understand their role when they're coming with you. Because Solo and I were both talking about how we've been in the same situation where the artist might bring like 2 or 3 other people with them, but these people don't really have, they don't understand their place when they're in the studio. And that can be really frustrating as an engineer because I usually run into the ones who they're interested in engineering and they want to talk to me while I'm trying to engineer their friend who is the artist, who is also the one paying for the session. And that can be kind of frustrating because I'm trying to pay attention and, like I said, make sure the artist gets what they came to get. And I can't do that if your friend is in my face is talking to me, distracting me from hearing you. My job is listening. I need to be able to listen to what the artist is doing and listen to any requests that the artist is making. As far as like, whether I need to go back to a certain part that they want to do, or if they think that they need to do a takeover, if they want my opinion on how they're performing certain parts of the song. And I've had people who will be talking to me, like I said, or I don't mind the questions and I don't mind the talking, but if it's distracting me from my main goal being there, which is to get the song for the artist, then that's when I get a bit annoyed with people talking to me during a session. So something to keep in mind. Make sure that the people that you're bringing to the studio with you, that they understand why they're there. They are there for support, or if they are there to help you write the song, help you perform the song, help get the best performance out of you, then that's what they should be there for. And they need to remember their place, basically, to put it as nicely as I can. They need to remember their place. Another piece of advice I would give to people, other than, it kind of ties into the first thing that I said, like if you want the session to go a certain way, then you should let that be known to the engineer. You control the vibe. It's your session, you paid for it, you control the vibe of the session. So that being said, if you want my advice as the engineer, you want me to tell you when you've done a good job, you want me to tell you if the take was bad, or you want me to tell you, how you can give more emotion, then that's something for me personally that you need to explicitly tell me, hey, if I'm not doing something right, just let me know. If I'm doing something and it don't sound right, then make me do it again. If you don't let it be known that my opinion is welcome, I personally will most likely not give you my opinion, because I've been in situations where I have offered my opinion unsolicited, nobody asked me for it, and it kind of throws off the vibe of the session because that artist already knew what they wanted to do and they had a very clear goal in mind. They had a clear plan of action for how they were going to get that done. So me stepping in and saying, oh, actually, it doesn't sound good, or whatever the case may have been, it threw off their vibe because they probably weren't looking to take in any kind of critique or guidance because, you're an artist. You want to be able to do your own thing. And I get that. So that being said, if you want the engineer to be involved in that way, then you need to tell the engineer, hey, I would love for you to tell me if this don't sound right, if that don't sound right, if I could word something better, let me know. I want your opinion. Explicitly say that, because on the flip side, an artist who is new to the studio and they don't necessarily know what they're doing, they'll come in as though they know what they're doing and they'll make it seem like they know what they're doing. And from that, I will assume that you don't really need my help like that, And so it'll cause me to kind of sit back and not necessarily offer any kind of guidance or any kind of advice, because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you got it under control. And I've had sessions where the artist actually wanted me to be more involved, but they didn't tell me that during the session. And so I hear it from my boss or from the person who booked the session that they didn't necessarily enjoy it. And I feel bad because it's like, well, I thought we were, chucking right along. They didn't tell me anything was wrong. They didn't let me know anything was wrong. And it made me feel bad because I want people to have a good session, obviously. And like I said, I want you to come here and get what you came here to get. Whatever the vibe was, whatever that particular type of song was supposed to be, I want you to have it before you leave here, because that's what you're paying me for. So that person left feeling like they didn't get a good experience, but I didn't know that because he didn't tell me that he wanted my involvement in that way. And I do not volunteer my critique. First off, I'm not really getting paid to do that. It is an extra fee for me to vocally produce you, which is something that I'll talk about in another video, or you can go and look at it in some other videos that I've done before. But you control the vibe of the session. So if you want certain things to be said, you want certain interaction, just let that be known, because I'm not a mind reader. And mostly with the rappers, the guys who come in, they want to make it seem like they know what they're doing anyway. I don't know if it's whether they want to try to holler at me or not. I don't know if it's them wanting to try to impress me, or I don't know what it is, but they don't ask for help as readily as girls do. And sometimes girls ask for too much help. So that would be like something that I've noticed in all my experience engineering. So, and then there was another instance where I was kind of tired and, you know, the artist was honestly boring me. I didn't find the song very entertaining and I was kind of falling asleep. It was also a last minute booking, 2 o'clock in the morning, 4-hour session, 2 to 6. I was tired. And I noticed that, you know, he was kind of like not really feeling the vibe. So I asked him, I was like, you know, am I being involved enough for you, or are you enjoying this session basically? And because, you know, you're doing the same kind of song, how's your energy? Basically checking in with him, because I did feel bad. I was falling asleep a little bit. And he, you know, kept saying that it was cool the whole time. So I'm just, you know, thinking nothing's wrong necessarily. It's a 4-hour session, but we end up only doing 1 hour. Hold on. But we end up only doing 1 hour. And at this specific studio that we were at, that was kind of hard to say. At this particular studio, oh my God, I didn't want that to happen. At this particular studio, you don't get money back if you didn't spend it. Like whatever, this is way too much. Like whatever you paid for, that's what you have to do, whether you use the full time or not. So you may as well try to use the full time. But anyway, that was another situation where I felt like I actually wanted more interaction. God, this is so much. I actually wanted more interaction from the client, but the client wasn't really giving me the interaction that I was looking for as an engineer, wanting that guidance. What do you want from me? What do you want to achieve with the songs that we're making? Something else that I would tell artists is exactly like what the lingo is for being in the studio, as far as, you know, requesting certain things to be done to your voice. Always be an open sponge when it comes to being in the studio. Your direct, how do I word this? Your success when you're first coming in depends heavily on your communication between you and the engineer. If you don't have good communication between yourself and the engineer, it's not going to be as great of an experience as you would like it to be. Everything I've said so far basically boils down to communication. So if you don't know how to describe certain things, try your best to describe it, and then you do have to keep coming back to the studio to get better and better with certain terms of effects that people might use on your voice. But, you know, just say, I would like my voice to sound like it's going underwater. And a good engineer should know, an experienced engineer should know exactly what that means, and they'll be able to give you that underwater effect, which is something that Drake used a lot in his earlier days, like October Zone and all of that stuff. Drake used underwater effect a lot. If you didn't know what that effect was called, just try to describe it the best you can, or even have song examples of what that sound was and play it for the engineer. And the engineer should be able to find that out for you. Yeah, so don't think that just because you're new that you can't speak up and say certain things. You do have the capacity and the ability to ask questions, and don't be afraid to ask questions just because you're new. Don't try to make it seem like you know everything. You're new. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to, you know, say that you don't know something. And then the other thing is, if you really are serious about being an artist, this can't be like a once a month or once every 3 to 6 months kind of thing. It has to be consistent. Major artists, when they're working on their albums, they're locked in. Or even if they're not working on their albums, if they're working on, say, they're just building a catalog, they are locked into the studio. Not necessarily like booking it out 12 hours, because that's a lot, especially for a new person, booking it out 12 hours a day. But, you know, they're coming in and they're intentional about recording. Each session I do, 4 to 6 hour session, I want to complete at least one good song. And I want newer artists, newer rappers especially, who come into the studio to understand that you do not have to rush yourself in a session. Now, if you're not necessarily serious about doing, quality songs, and you just kind of want something that you and your homeboys can ride around in, then by all means, you don't have to listen to this portion of the advice. But be intentional about coming to the studio, and be intentional about recording a song. Be intentional about the kinds of songs you want to record, the kinds of subjects you're going to talk about, how you want to tell your story, and prepare before you come to the studio, because there's no worse feeling than feeling like you don't have enough time because you didn't book enough studio time, and then you're rushing through your song, but you also have a song that's not cohesive. Nobody in the session was bumping to it because nobody knew what you were talking about, because you felt like you could just come in and freestyle. You are a new artist, and unless you have been doing like I've been writing poetry and songs since I was 8 years old. I have been writing for damn near 2 decades. And I just got to the point where I am now feeling like, okay, maybe I can do a little more freestyling. Maybe I don't need to write everything down. I've built up that library. I've built up the rhymes and the thesaurus in my mind to know how certain words go, how to structure songs, how to structure lines within a song, as far as like rhyme schemes, how to structure the lines, what words sound good before and after one another, and all of that good stuff. So I have that experience. If you're a new artist, I would not expect you to come in freestyling. Like, that's so bizarre to me. Why are people coming in as a new artist? You've only been singing or rapping for 3 months. This is your first or second time in the studio, and you are freestyling? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And honestly, I think it's a waste of money to come in and think that you're just gonna do something so amazing. And why would you wanna waste money? I'm gonna do this in the camera because I don't feel like putting up. Okay, it's just a light. So yeah, preparation. Especially if you're new, you're not gonna come into the studio doing songs the way that Wayne did. Wayne wrote for a very long time before he was able to just start freestyling. So I wish people would understand that. I don't expect you to be amazing when you come in, but I do expect you to have your plan together. And I will keep reiterating this, like, have a plan when you come to the studio. If you don't have a plan, then you're throwing your money away basically, because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you want to come out the studio with. So you come in and you end up bullshitting and you piss me off because I want to work with good artists. I want to work with serious artists. I don't want to work with artists who are wasting my time. I want good credits on songs that are going to come out. And if you're not planning, if you haven't studied certain things before coming to the studio, you're just not going to come up with a hit the first studio session that you come to. I don't care how dope you think you are, how dope your friends hype you up to be. You still have to learn the art of writing. You have to learn the art of recording, because there's so many things to prepare for even before you step foot into the studio. And then when you get to the studio, really keep your mind open. Like I said, keep an open mind about learning. You need to understand that the recording process, there's a science to it. There's a process to it. Why are you sitting on my mirror, cat? I don't know if y'all care that, if you saw her little ears. Give me my mirror, thank you. Please don't jump up at it. But yeah, let's do the black liquid liner first. So yeah, it frustrates me that people think that they're going to be so amazing starting out. They give themselves no time for improvement, and they give themselves no patience. Like, unfortunately, I blame, social media. Everybody wants instant gratification or whatever. Dear. Who might this be? Yeah, that's a little bit of advice that I would give to newer artists coming to the studio. Let me know how you enjoyed it, and let me know how I did on this finished look. Send me suggestions for topics for other videos and get ready with me kind of things, So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. You can find my email in the description down below, lexisolo@gmail.com to send requests. And until next time, my name is Lexi. Peace. Looks good in the light. I don't even have, maybe it'd be better if I had some eyelashes on, but I thought the liner would be enough. Okay, bye.